this Photoshop demo, I'm going to show you how to touch up some really bad color in my photography to prep a file for a magazine cover to make it look as professional as possible. So when I go to File and Open here, I will go to my Chapter 8 folder and folder 8.5. I'm going to start below and click and drag up. And this is my magazine cover. Okay, all the way at the bottom, the black area is what I want to fill with a photograph. This is my terrible photograph. Now this was a white bird. And when I took a photograph, there was a warming lamp in the enclosure. And that warming lamp cast this orange glow over everything. This is not an orange bird. It's supposed to be as white as a dove. But that photo doesn't look too white. So what I'm going to do is do some basic color adjustments to clean it up. The first thing you do always is never work on your background layer. I'm going to hit Command J on a Mac. That would be Control J on a PC to make a copy jump up here. Then I'm going to go to my Adjustments panel. As I always do, I'm going to pick the first adjustment, the most powerful one. I'm going to click Hue and Saturation. I'm going to click my Target Adjustment tool. And all I want to do is pull out all the orange. So right here on the feathers, if I just simply click and drag to the left, I will suck out as much orange from those feathers as possible. You see how my saturation slider went all the way to the left. I can still see a little hint of orange on this bird, so to guarantee that I get all the orange out, I'm going to zoom in, and then I'm going to take my Target Adjustment tool again, pick up where I left off, and I'm going to put it on the bird's beak and drag to the left. That will guarantee all the orange has been taken out. Of course, now the photo is going to look more like a black and white photo. Okay, that beak should be orange. This tree branch, these legs, they should be orange. But at least I cleaned up all the feathers. And like I showed you in a previous demo, adjustment layers sometimes work too well, so they automatically come with their own layer mask. So by using that to my advantage, I can zoom in, take a brush, and I'll make my brush a little smaller for details, and I'm going to paint with black. I'm going to block the adjustment. Don't stop here. Put the adjustment back on. I don't want to pull the color out of the eye. I don't want to pull the color out of the beak. So I'm going to block that here. Put the adjustment back on. I'm blocking it off the feathers, but I don't want to block it off the beak. So I'm just going to paint it back in. Put the adjustment back in. Way down here, I'm going to put the adjustment back on the legs. And I'm going to say, let's go around that metal tag on that bird's leg right there. We'll go up and around the metal tag, and we'll paint in all the rest of this color. Put all the color back in. I didn't want to take color out of the legs or the branches or the leaves. So I just blocked the adjustment, put it back in. Now notice how this leg just fades away. So I'm going to come in with a soft brush. That way I can just fade that orange right back into there. It looks as natural as possible. I'll come in with a harder brush and we'll fade that back up here into that leg right in there. There we go. And then I'm going to zoom out and repaint the entire nest area. I didn't want to take out the color here. I didn't want to take out any of the color here. I don't want to take out any of the color down here. I'm just going to repaint this area back in all over, putting all that yellowish orange back into the plant life, back up into these leaves right here. And that looks nice and clean right there. Great. Okay. So now I've cleaned up the bird, but I notice this bird is really fading into black and the nest looks really dark down here. So I'm going to come down onto the photo and I'm going to run a shadows and highlights adjustment right up here. Image menu, adjustments, shadows and highlights. Okay, when you first try this, you're going to get a very small box like this. You can turn on this button, show more options. You get a lot more color editing sliders. And you'll notice, I don't know if you can see it on my screen as much as I can, but I can see kind of a light green, actually a dark green haze right there. You could see that if I drag this up and I drag that up. See, there's the enclosure that was kind of lost in that background. Well, I want to bring those back down. I don't want that enclosure to show up. Okay, and if I forget where these were, just click cancel and do it again. Image menu, adjustments, shadows and highlights. I can see a little faint haze of green. I can see a little bit of that green enclosure there. So what I want to do is make sure I'm at least affecting the bird. Here's before. You can see how dark the nest area is and how dark the back tail feathers are. And there's after. Bring out a little more detail in the photo, which I like. And I'm just going to keep it as it is. I think that's good enough. I'll click OK. But I still see that greenish haze and I see some green around the belly of the bird. So what I'm going to do is go right above my type tool, press and hold, and I have a burn tool. Okay, what I want to do is come out, hold Control and Option on my Mac and make that a lot smaller, more manageable. That would be Control and Alt key and your right mouse button on your PC to make that brush smaller. We'll keep it soft, right about there, more manageable. And right up here, the burn tool wants to know what values do you want to burn? What values in your photo do you want to make darker? I don't want to make the midtones. Those are like gray tones. I want to make the shadows, the dark colors, these dark colors. I want to make them black again. So I'm going to set my exposure all the way up. Right now it's not too weak and it's not too strong. It's right in the middle. I'm going to drag it all the way to the right. And now when I click and drag, I'm going to burn all that green back into black. Burn it all away. I don't want people to see a weird kind of radioactive green haze around this bird. I can see it right here, so I'll burn all that green back in. Burn all those little, what they call JPEG artifacts. These little extra pixels that come up, because Photoshop didn't know what to do with a dark background. So when you try to brighten a dark background, Photoshop's just going to throw some pixels in there. Try to add random details. And in this case, they're random, ugly, green, radioactive looking pixels. So I'm just going to burn right along the edge of the beak, right around the top edge of the head and the beak. And I'm going to burn all this back in. You can see when I zoom out, there's that greenish haze. So I'm going to take that burn tool, make it big, and I'll just burn out all that green up above. Just burn it back into black. I'll burn all the background right here back into black. So we got a nice contrast on this photo right there. I've got a beautiful, crisp, white bird. Beautiful color in the legs and the beak and the nest area. This bird looks good. Okay, I did it on the photo. Here's the original adjustment layer. If I turn that off, That bird is still that ugly, hideous shade of orange. Now I turn it on. I got a nice, clean copy of this photo. When I'm done and I want to add it to my magazine layout, I'll go to the bottom layer. Be ready for that. I'll jump back over here, and now I need to combine this all into one flat photo. So right here at the top of my layers panel is my pop-up menu, all the way down to flatten image. Now this is just one big, flat, beautiful photo. I take my move tool. I'll move it all the way up. Wait a second. Drop it back in. And I'm going to zoom out here so I can see everything. With my move tool, if I hover over this photo like this and I hold my command key, I will see a preview of the outline of that photo. Or you hover over it and you hold your control key on a PC, you should get that outline. That's just showing me how big the photo is. Well, I think it fits pretty well, but you'll notice the edge of the photo is there and the black goes continuous. I'm not sure if this black matches that black. So I want to make sure I move the photo to its bottom left corner or bottom right corner and then down a little bit. So that bird just fits around that text right there. That looks really good. If I hit Command T to transform, you can see where the edge of the photo doesn't quite go to the edge of this magazine. So what I'm going to do is take my eyedropper, click right here. You can see right here, I'll just turn off the background. Click right there so I get that shade of black, which technically might not be 100% black. Might be 95%. I'm going to click right there, then go to my background layer and say Edit, Fill with the same foreground color, which might be slightly off. I click OK. Now this color will blend right into that background. My bird fits perfectly for my National Wildlife cover. And there we go. Now people can read articles, special issue, gifts in the garden, making your computer a wildlife sanctuary, which we just did. You also have native plants in peril, how to help the hummingbirds, the powers of Photoshop. There we go. Beautiful wildlife photography, not this ugly wildlife photography that I had before. So I don't need photo 1. I need my magazine cover. File menu, save a copy, and I will call that last name, first name, white bird mag cover. On my desktop, I will save that as a JPEG now that I'm done and I'm ready to hand it in, and I will save that as a high quality JPEG. That's how you turn bad photography into rescued photography, just like rescuing the wildlife. And we have beautiful final layouts. Now you're going to look like a professional.